This is Let Us Interrupt You, episode 136 here on Thursday. That's right, I'm here on a Thursday this week, April 27th, 2023. I am Joseph Olivo. Got a lot to cover on here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of it, honestly, because NBA basketball, which comes on in about 2 minutes, which is the Hawks and the Celtics. By the way, just to get that out of the way with the Celtics game, Celtics lost the other night. They lost 119-117 thanks to a Trae Young clinching game winner 3-point shot. The Heat eliminated the Bucks 128-126. That was in overtime. The Grizzlies survived a Game 5 elimination at home against the Lakers. They are now going to go back to LA and try to avoid being eliminated in LA as they're now down 3-2. They won 116-99. Bruins lost Game 5 last night to the Florida Panthers in overtime, 4-3. The Kraken upset the Avalanche in Colorado, now up 3-2 in their series. The Islanders beat the Hurricanes, I believe, at this point. The Rangers are playing the Devils tonight. I don't have all the scores in front of me. I didn't really pull this up at this point. I'm just giving you all the scores at this point. If anybody who's not been paying attention this week to all the scores on here. I'm actually going to try to pull these up quickly here, as quickly as possible. Hold on, let me just go back. The Knicks eliminated the Cavaliers 106-95. That was on last night, I believe. The Warriors beat the Kings 123-116. That was on last night as well. I will get into Giannis and what he said in his press conference later on in the show. Anyway, Rangers Devils start in a little bit. They play later on tonight. Their Game 5 is back in New Jersey. But before I get into any more sports stuff, I had to actually mention here what happened this week. Rhode Island lost a really good man this week. William Britt, a.k.a. Bill Britt, a.k.a. Coach Britt, has passed away this week. I never met this person at all, but my mom and both my mom and my dad know this individual. They grew up together as friends. They went on double dates a lot when my mom and dad were together. I'm getting choked up just talking about this right now because I really didn't want to mess this up. But anyway, but he passed away this week. Reading the obituary on this was amazing. Just learning about this person and what he's done while alive, and it's hard to believe that this man had passed away. I thought it'd be good enough here on this platform here to give you all an idea of who he was as a man. So I'm going to give it to you right here, right now. So here it is. He was raised in Pawtucket. He attended Tolman High School, where he excelled academically and lettered in 3 sports, achieving All-State in 2. In 1972, he led Tolman football team to a state championship in an undefeated season, and was his dedication and talent in football that earned him a full scholarship to the University of Rhode Island. While there, he earned a bachelor's degree and a graduate degree in physical education. Bill captained the team in 1976, made All-American status, and even traveled to Germany to play the U.S. Air Force Europe All-Stars, which was the highest of his career. He was also a proud member of Sigma Chi fraternity. He settled his family in Lincoln, where he resided for 28 years. Bill was a teacher and coach for 27 years in the Pawtucket schools. He coached 3 major varsity sports: football, baseball, and basketball, and was a well-loved and respected physical education teacher. He enshrined he enriched the lives of many, many young students and athletes. After his retirement in 2006, and never one to be idle, he worked full-time for Golfers Warehouse in Cranston. He became iconic at the warehouse as he worked tirelessly to train employees and help golfers improve their technique. His natural athletic ability, coupled with knowledge and experience, earned him the respect of colleagues, peers, and friends. If golf were a metaphor for success in life, Billy hit it long and straight and further than the eye can see. Truly, his family and friends are left with fond memories of a man who touched their lives in countless ways. Teacher, coach, brother, husband, neighbor, father, uncle, son, and friend. A teacher and a coach affected eternity. You can never tell where the influence stops. And to the family members, again, I expect my condolences goes out. So my condolences goes out to his wife Pam, his two sons Will and Tyler, and also to his brother Michael and sister Donna. Again, I am so sorry for your loss. And this loss hit my mom hard. I mean, she's been crying nonstop about this person. And they were tight growing up. I mean, they used, so was my father too. My father was close to him too. Very sad that that a man like that has passed away so young too, 69 years old. I mean, people could say that that's not really young, but a man like that lost his life too soon. It's unfortunate. He passed away after his battle with cancer. He was married to Pamela for over 30 years. He was 69 years young, so they got married probably in his late 30s into his 40s. So to Coach Britt, we thank you, we love you, and you'll live in us forever. This man, by the way, was a former New York, was almost an NFL player. Was trying out for the New York Jets. I actually found this out the other day from my mom, so I wanted to mention that here on the podcast. But again, condolences goes out to the friends, family, and colleagues, and may God watch over him right now as he ascends his way into heaven. So, very sad news to hear this week. Jerry Springer, even more sad news, has also passed away this week. He died at the age of 79 this week. When I first heard about this, and I heard this today at work, because I said to myself, did something happen to Jerry Springer? I couldn't pull up the article at first, but then everyone was talking about it, and I pulled it up right after they were talking about it. And it's so sad to hear that a man who used to be a former mayor of Cincinnati, a talk show host for the Jerry Springer Show, and he did judge Jerry, passed away. He had the ability to connect with people at the heart of his success in everything he tried, whether that was politics, broadcasting, or just joking with people on the street. Whoever wanted a photo with the man or a word, he was right there, ready to listen. And he was willing to take a photo. He was not one of these like conceited celebrities or actors. He was the one person that was willing to just to talk to you, get to know you, and was never really a diva, honestly. I really can't believe that he passed away. Springer once told CNN not mind being referred as the the grandfather, I believe it was, of trash TV, saying in 2010, as the Jerry Springer celebrated their 20th anniversary. That show has been on for so long. I actually remember watching that for the first time with my grandfather, and me and him would get a laugh out of it. It was great. It was like mid 2000s, I think. There was really nothing on TV at that point, so we switched it on, and ever since then, I was hooked. I actually had a friend from high school, Ryan Goff, go to one of his shows one time. I saw her I was peeking through through Facebook, and I happened to catch one of the photos that she was at, and I said to myself, "That's a Jerry Springer show." as a background and all for it. And I said to myself, wow, I didn't think she was into that. But she was. She was there that day. It's about 5 or 6 years back at this point. And and I just happened to see one day her at the Jerry Springer show. And I said to myself, wow, he did over 4,000 episodes at the for the Jerry Springer show. I actually thought the show ended in 1920, but it turned out it ended in 18. He was brought back on television as of late 21, I believe, into 2022 for the Judge Jerry show. That and it's hard to believe at this point that he was a judge. But looking at the guy's history at this point and why he became a judge so easily, it was because of the fact he was a former mayor of Cincinnati, which I just learned that. I don't know what year that was, but anyway, just again, very sad to hear. Very sad that he had passed away. And it's really hard to believe that he passed away. It really is. Like it's like a punch in the gut at this point to hear news like that. Like I felt that way when Kobe Bryant passed away, and now I feel like that when Jerry Springer passes away. It's very sad. Another death here, then we'll move on here. Legendary shortstop, Pittsburgh Pirates, two-time World Series champion, Dick Gora passed away. He was 92 years old. Gora played baseball at Duke University in the early 1950s. His number 10 jersey was retired after his senior season. Even though Gora went on to play both sports at the professional level, he eventually focused on baseball, and that turned out to be a smart decision. Gora was named MVP. Wait a minute. I just realized something. It said here that he decided to play. Oh, he played basketball and baseball. Okay, so he did both. I missed that part. But imagine that he was a basketball player at Duke University. I never, I actually didn't even realize that Gora. No offense to anybody out there, but condolences to the friends and family out there for Gora. I did not think he was still amongst the living here. So when I found out he did pass away at 92, I said, "Wow, lived a long life." Lived a healthy life too. It was always in great shape. Anyway, and again, condolences and goes out there to the friends and family for Jerry Springer as well. Anyway, a lot of NFL news this week. A lot of crazy news that's been happening this week. I'm going to actually start off by talking about. I was going to start talk about. What's been going on this week, which is this notion at this point that the Seahawks are trying to trade, and this has been rumors going around because Chase Young is not going to get his fifth-year option in Washington, that he could be on the trade block as of right now. Chase Young and Montez Sweat could possibly both be traded to Seattle for during the draft tonight, possibly. Could take the pick way that Denver originally had and given it to Seattle for Russell Wilson from last season. Could take it tonight, and Young and Montez Sweat could go to Seattle and create their own version of Legion of Boom. They already have Bobby Wagner, so that could happen. I actually don't mind this idea for a couple of reasons, really. Mainly because Chase Young and Montez Sweat as a combo, that's a great combo. I think with Bobby Wagner as your middle linebacker, you got defensive end at this point and a nose tackle, which I think Young could be a good defensive end on one side. You got Montez Sweat coming from the other side. You got Wagner coming up the middle. That Seattle defense could be a lot better overall. They can be. I kind of hope the trade happens. I kind of hope Seattle goes through with the trade. I don't think they should give them their first round draft pick though. If they want to keep rebuilding their defense, you add another piece in there. I might actually have time tonight now because I wasn't going to have time originally, which I posted yesterday about my mock draft and who I thought was going to go to where. But I think the Seahawks realistically are going to be just fine with their moves here. I think this move happens right between the second and third round, honestly. That wouldn't surprise me. But yeah. 49ers are not committing on getting Brandon Ayuk a contract right now with the 49ers, but they're excited for him to be part of the 2023 NFL season. Ayuk at this point should go somewhere else. If he's not valued enough in San Francisco, there's two teams I can think of right now that he could go. One, the New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers, because for one thing at this point, they could use another wide receiver anyway. Ayuk is still young. They don't need to draft one and teach him all the ropes here. I think in reality, you're going to be learning the exact same offense that right now you'd be learning from Rodgers anyway, if it was in Sanford anyway. It's the same offense with Garoppolo, really. I think, although it's a triangle offense with Kyle Shanahan, it's almost similar to what Salah has, really. Not really. But Rodgers has his own little flair to it, so it makes a lot of sense here. Anyway, there was news this week about Jamarcus Russell, the former drug baby. Former Raiders quarterback Russell named the biggest bust since the 1990s. And Jamarcus Russell was. He sucked. But you want to know who's a close second right now to that? Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, by the way, who's on his way to being a bust right now. And even if he learns from Aaron Rodgers for the next 2 years, I'm not convinced this guy is an NFL-ready quarterback. You want to know who also is in that top three as well? Ryan Leaf. Oh, God, who was the other one? I can't think of now. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Deshaun, was it Deshaun Kaiser in the first round? No, Manziel. Manziel was another one. And, oh, God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Oh. Watch, he'll come to me after this podcast. Watch. I guarantee it. Justin Herbert made the NFL news this week, making a deal with golf brand, which I'm just going to try to pull right now, with Callaway. Callaway Golf signed a star NFL quarterback to be the ambassador of the company. The golf brand inked the deal today for the Los Angeles Chargers quarterback, which was made official 2 days ago. The brand revealed that Herbert as the new ambassador with its social media post. It said, quote, "The pick is in. Justin Herbert is now part of hashtag Team Callaway," according to Golf Brand. So good for Justin Herbert at this point. Does it make much of a difference here? No. No, it doesn't. It's another endorsement. It's another way of making more money if you're Herbert. And it's an opportunity, nice and little investment he takes into it. Aaron Rodgers this week, I already spoiled the news. Aaron Rodgers this week was traded to the New York Jets for the picks here, which goes as follows. Which I do have the information in front of me right now. If I can just pull up really quickly here. Hopefully I can pull up quickly. So here's what. That's not the article I wanted. It's not the article I wanted this week. But here it is. Here's what the trade looks like as of now. So New York sent this year's 13th pick, a 2023 second-round pick, a sixth-round pick for this year's draft, and a conditional 2024 second-round pick in exchange for Aaron Rodgers. The number 15 pick and a 2023 fifth-round pick, number 170, I should say, according to Adam Schefter. The second-round pick becomes a first-rounder if Rodgers plays 65% of his snaps this season. So that was the conditional pick there, I think, for both. This is a big spend here for Aaron Rodgers. I think this works out for the Jets. I don't know how long Rodgers will have with the team going forward, but this was a good deal. Everybody got back what they wanted at the end of all this. They probably wanted to announce this the night of the NFL draft, but no one could wait anymore. They were probably sick of the speculation at this point. They were probably sick of seeing Rodgers around, knowing the fact that he didn't want to be part of the team. You know, he's probably saying his goodbyes in Lambeau Field for the last time. And, you know, my guess is Matt LaFleur and Robert Saleh got back on the phone and said, all right, you can take him. You wanted that deal? All right, we'll take the deal. Because at this point, he doesn't want Jordan Love to get distracted, which is understandable. The team wants to rebuild. They're going to be in rebuild mode probably for the next few years. I mean, I don't know. At this point, Love could be worth something here. I don't know. I don't think Green Bay will be a playoff team in the upcoming future here. So this wouldn't surprise me at all at this point if this actually end up hurting them in the end here. In this whole thing, they lost their franchise starting quarterback, which, by the way, is what happened here in reality. I mean, you lost a guy at this point that, you know, wanted to teach his team the ropes. In reality now at this point, you got a coach at this point who was no longer invested in the quarterback. So they traded him away. And I think realistically right now, the rebuild thing at this point, I don't know if LaFleur wants to be part of that rebuild. I don't know if the Packers organization wants him to be part of that rebuild. I don't know what they want. I'm not sure what they want in this case. So that to me is is interesting at this point. And we'll see what happens now going forward. But it just, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the outcome is at this point. I wouldn't be surprised, all in all, here, if the Jets were successful with Rodgers at quarterback. Now, do I think they're Super Bowl contenders? I think they're right in that conversation. But as far as getting by Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati, they got a long ways to go. I think they might be able to get by Cincinnati. Might be able to, if things go according to plan here. Which I will, at this point, I will announce that in a second here. 49ers rumoring to trade away Trey Lance. Trey Lance at this point says they have no information. He has no information on that rumor. So that's unfortunate for Lance at this point. He might be traded during the draft here. I mean, realistically, the question is, where does he end up going? Does he end up going to Green Bay at this point? Does he end up not going to Green Bay? Does he going to become the New England Patriot quarterback at this point? Who knows? I don't think he's going to go to Indianapolis anymore at this point. After what I just kind of give away my predictions here. Tannehill is also going to be on a trade rumor at this point. Teams are making sure he's available at this point. The Falcons have become an interesting team at this point, along with the following here. Other than the Falcons become one team that's interested. The Arizona Cardinals, Green Bay Packers, are the three landing destinations. That could be possible. Tannehill could go to Green Bay. Do I think it's going to happen? I think he ends up going to Atlanta because I think Atlanta needs a veteran quarterback now that could start anyway. Mentor Desmond Ridder. And from there, we'll see what happens. I mean, I just can't imagine at this point there being any funny business when it comes to Tannehill at this point, staying in Tennessee, then ends up getting traded late in the upcoming training camp months. I think that if this trade were to happen, it happens either tonight or tomorrow. That's what I believe ends up happening. Kawhi Leonard announced he tore his right meniscus and his right knee. So he's done at this point. But the Clippers lost anyway. Phoenix eliminated them already. So not much to say there. But the Clippers are willing to build around the future at this point with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook, according to Lawrence Frank. Lawrence Frank is all in on those three. And if that's the big three going forward, then I think they're going to be out in 5 games in the first round every time. Russell Westbrook has not advanced over a next round of the playoffs since he was in the second round of the 2015-16 playoffs when they had Kevin Durant and James Harden there. Or actually, I don't even think Harden was even there. Harden was in Houston at the time. So Harden wasn't even part of that team. But that was the last time. Russell Westbrook has yet to win a playoff series without Kevin Durant, or really just for himself. But he had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and they won game 1 in Phoenix, and they still failed. So it's over for Russell Westbrook at this point. It's over. This team is never going to make it out of the first round. They'll be lucky right now to get out of any round, really. Period. Anyway, Ime Udoka got hired as the Houston Rockets head coach. That was according to CBS Sports. He spoke out, actually, believe it or not, about the addressing the suspension that the Celtics gave him that season. He said, quote, "I had to own it," post quote. Had to own up to what he did with the affair, how that Nia Long relationship came to pretty much to a close here. And it's unfortunate. It's sad of how that whole thing turned out. I think it was the right thing to do for Ime Udoka to basically admit that he had to own up to it. I knew he was a man, really a man of honesty when it comes to saying that. I don't know if it was just one of those right answers to kind of things in the press conference, but I feel like Ime Udoka regrets what he did. It's unfortunate that his engagement to her ended after all this time. Lesson learned, though. You know, if you're married, stay faithful. If you're not married, if you have a promise ring on this girl and you want to stick by her at this point and be faithful, well, you got to do what you got to do. You can't be, a person who cheats. And unfortunately, it not only cost him his engagement, but it cost him his job with the Celtics. And now, but he rebounded though and got a job with the Houston Rockets. So good for him. Hopefully, this time around he doesn't screw it up. Anthony Edwards cited for a third-degree assault at the swing a chair following his elimination loss to the Denver Nuggets the other night. By the way, that's another team that advanced. The Nuggets did beat the Timberwolves, and they're now advancing to the next round against the Phoenix Suns. He swung a chair, and it supposedly assaulted a couple of girls afterward. That it happened, I guess. I think with the chair. The lawyer responded, I guess. So this is what happened here. So he picked up a chair and tossed it aside. The Denver Sports Police Department, Jay Casales, told Denver Sports that he injured two women working at Ball Arena, one of them who was a security guard. Police said that the injuries were not serious, but both employees reportedly filed charges. The attorney released a statement on the behalf of the All-Star guard, saying, "With the game over, Anthony's exit from the court was partially obstructed by a chair, which he moved and sat down 3 steps later." And the video of the incident confirms Anthony did not swing the chair at anyone, and of course did not intend to hurt anyone. Despite these incident facts, the Denver Police Department wanted explicably chose to charge Anthony with 2 counts of misdemeanor assault. Anthony intends to vigorously defend against these baseless charges. Cash grab for these girls. That's it. They want to be injured. They want to play hurt. They want to be play injury prone here, fake an injury here for more money. It's a cash grab. Taking advantage of the guy while he's down, kicking the man while he's down. That's how this lawsuit is. And the women get hurt. I hope they're okay. But if this is like a bruise, maybe not a serious injury, then this is ridiculous. So this, I think, is absolutely ridiculous. Kawhi Leonard's sister was charged with murder, and she's expected to an elderly woman who was 84 years old, expected to get a life sentence in prison. Not a good week for Kawhi Leonard. Finds out he tore his right meniscus. Then his sister was sentenced to life in prison for murdering an elderly woman. Kawhi Leonard's sister is not doing well. She has been doing well now for a while, but she getting sentenced to a life in prison for murder. Murdering an elderly woman, nevertheless. I mean, for someone that person right there has got some issues to murder an old lady like that. Absolutely ridiculous. That's all I gotta say. Alex Rodriguez trying to plan for recently reported right now he's shopping for a documentary. I put it on Facebook that he should be doing a 30 for 30 with ESPN at this point. That would be an awesome documentary. I'd watch that more than I watched the documentary on Michael Jordan and Tom Brady and even Jeter. Because A-Rod's story has got a lot of drama to it. It's a lot more entertaining. I prefer more entertainment and drama than dry and boring. That's what I would prefer. And I get a lot of conversations, a lot of debates on that documentary. Could he have won more World Series rings? Yes. Is he a Hall of Fame candidate conversation? I think he is. Guy was a good player. He really was. Red Sox reliever Richard Bleer calls out Oriole fans for quote completely inappropriate behavior. Was spat on and had beer thrown at him. Said that, quote, "This is not the fans he would remembered." And I have no sympathy here for Richard Bleer for 2 reasons. Number one being the whole Red Sox organization is telling the fans to go F themselves. So, and I guess the Oriole fans are doing the Red Sox fans a favor here, because in reality, the Red Sox fans are being ridiculed, disrespected, and abused by the players. They're not putting their best foot forward. Richard Bleer, by the way, a relief pitcher who probably wasn't even part of this whole thing at this point, this whole them against the world kind of thing. Even their own fan base versus the Red Sox this year. It's just you're caught in the crossfires of a drama that in a locker room that should not be even be allowed. And this Red Sox organization has just been a colossal waste of time. They won 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. They lost 2 out of 3 against the Orioles this week. They've not had a good week. I get it. It's a lot of frustration. But to say that you're against the fans here, no wonder why the fans were pissed off about this whole thing. This is stupid. They should, if they have a problem with their fan base here, address the issues. Have an open forum with these fan bases at this point. These players should have at this point, after every game. That's what they should do, really. But they'll come up with excuses of why they don't like being part of the fan base and blah, blah, or why they don't like the fan base and the fan base is against us and we're going to win for ourselves. It's just, I hate that drama. I really do. I think that's all I really had to bring up here. Wow, I really thought this would be a longer show. I will get to my mock draft quickly here, and I guess I will end the show on that note. Although, before I end the show there, let me talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson got a 5-year, $260 million deal extension today with the Ravens, staying with the Ravens. Got $185 million guaranteed. That's a huge contract for Lamar Jackson. Do I think he earned it? I think it's way too much money. And now he became the most richest quarterback in the NFL right now. He just got above Jalen Hurts' number. And Jalen Hurts, by the way, was on record on CBS Sports saying the money's nice, but championships are better. That's what Hurts said today. I don't know if Lamar Jackson echoed that. I did not hear his press conference today. But for Lamar Jackson, congratulations. Well-deserved, in my opinion. Well-deserved. Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox News this week, and Don Lemon was fired from CNN this week. Tucker Carlson apparently was a womanizer in the workplace, calling them the C word, thinking he was bigger than Fox. And Don Lemon thought he was bigger than CNN at this point. He had the same issues of why he was fired at this point. There was allegations going on from 2008 anyway when he was on E! Tonight that he was threatening coworkers. This is my take on all these both guys. They got too big for their britches. They needed to go. They could not have any more abusive behavior in the workplace. The difference between Fox and CNN is, and I've always felt this way about Fox, even though I like Fox, I like to give that show the benefit of the doubt because they report real news, unlike CNN, which is reporting stupid news. Fox News delivers the best news. The problem is if they find something that is better than you, they don't like it. If they find a way right now to make sure that show plummets and the ratings go bad low on purpose here, put somebody in a bad time spot, they'll do it. Tucker Carlson had some bad ratings here. So if his ratings were good, they couldn't get rid of him. If his ratings were terrible, they had a reason to get rid of him. Now, they could say, the ratings weren't good and he wasn't connecting with the fan base anymore. The reality of it was that Tucker Carlson at this point was a jerk. He was a douchebag. He was, a abusive, non-feminist type of guy who just was against females having their own way. He thought he was bigger than everybody else on Fox, including the females. He abused every single female coworker. He did. And when I read that, I was disgusted by his behavior. I really was. Don Lemon as well, getting fired, by the way. And he was fired without warning, by the way. Network blast, inaccurate statement about Lemon, by the way. And it was quote unquote here. Let me see what the quote is popping up here right now, if I can get it to load. And Network blast, inaccurate statement here. Lemon said he was fired without warning. That Monday they announced that he was fired after 17 years at the cable news network. Quote, I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. Liam wrote in a statement on his post, I am stunned after 17 years at CNN. I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly, post quote. Lehman at this point was a complete waste of space on that program. The guy, I got to tell you right now, was like a priest. It wasn't even like a fluent news reporting at this point. Showed almost too much emotion to the point where I had to turn the channel. Don Lehman is one of these guys that make you want to change the channel. Lehman I never liked, never will. Thought he was a complete waste of time on CNN, had fake news, created stories that were never there. Just always coming up with stupid statements, stupid takes, and wasting everybody else's freaking time. And I couldn't take it. So you want to know something? I'm kind of glad he got fired. Not gonna lie, I don't like I shouldn't be like that, but you want to know something? I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with this guy's drama. I really can't. It just he needed to go. He needed to stop being a waste of space. And that's what he was. Canadian billionaire says he's, quote, still in the hunt to buy the Washington Commanders. Going head-to-head with Josh Harris. So it looks like this thing was never made official to begin with. Steve Ospatolos claims that the transaction is far from finalized, telling CNBC Monday that he's still in the hunt to buy the Commanders. Quote, to respect the process that the NFL has set forward, and Dan Snyder, Apollo said, I think it would be inappropriate for me to comment at this time as it is a live process, but I am still in the hunt. Yes. Well, it kind of looks like this guy ain't going to go anywhere. He'll probably buy the team at this point. Who knows? I'm just getting a report now about the torn meniscus. LA Clippers president Lawrence Frank said the team knew Kawhi Leonard had torn meniscus at their game too. You know, this is all in Ty Lue, that torn meniscus. I hate to say it, but it is. I'm just getting these live news reports here as we go along here now on that story. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, we're gonna scroll up here. We got a few more stories here. Then we're just gonna wrap it up. Tyler Bunch again transferred from Alabama, the former Notre Dame quarterback, now going to be in competition now with Paul Tyson for the starting job for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Tyler Bunch, I think, is a much better quarterback here, so I think he'll get the job over Paul Tyson. Jaguars starting left tackle facing a 6-game suspension due to violating the NFL PED policy. That is Cam Robinson. Not looking good for Cam at this point. That he will be looking at some time on the bench or time away from the team for 6 games. Not a good thing. Defensive lineman Georgia Bulldog Jalen Carter, who's now eligible for the draft this year, was told by the Eagles that if they would take him with the number 10 pick if he's still on the board. Which leads to my mock draft, and then I'm done. Here's the mock draft I had put together here the other night. I didn't think I was going to have time to do this today. But surprise, surprise, I actually have time to do this right now. So my first overall draft pick here for the 2023 NFL mock draft, the Alva mock draft, I call it. I have the Panthers taking Bryce Young at quarterback out of Alabama. Bryce Young is the next Russell Wilson. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Great arm. Hell of a talent. I've heard Drew Brees comparisons. I've heard Peyton Manning comparisons. I think those are all well and good. Those are good comparisons you want to have coming out of college here. I think Bryce Young has got a bright future in the NFL. I think he'll do wonders for the Carolina Panthers. And, overall, if they want to give him a great deal at this point to stay with Carolina, I think the team should. If they let this guy go, they're nuts. Jalen Carter, I'm sorry to tell you, in my prediction right now, he will be going to the Houston Texans. 2 reasons for it. They don't have a defensive presence. They don't have a defensive-minded face of that franchise. They don't really have a face of their franchise, period. This is a guy who's going to make an impact for years to come for all those backfields out there, whether it's stopping the run, getting to the quarterback. The guy's J.J. Watt 2.0, if not a better version of J.J. Watt. The guy's strong. The guy can get through double teams. He's a menace to society. That guy is a freak. That guy is Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt in the making. That's exactly what Jalen Carter is. I have the Cardinals selecting Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I think it's going to happen one way or the other. This guy is a offensive-minded guy, presence, the biggest guy you could have right now at this point, probably one of the best offensive linemen right now for the Cardinals to select here. The Buckeyes had a great time with him. He was a great provider for C.J. Stroud, protecting him at all costs. And I think he's a difference maker for, the Cardinals. They needed offensive line piece. They just lost one of their offensive linemen in retirement. So it makes a lot of sense here. I have the Colts taking Will Levis at quarterback out of Kentucky. They desperately need a quarterback. They went through Matt Ryan. They went through Phillip Rivers. They went through oh God, what was that quarterback's name out of Texas? I can't think of his name now. They went through a lot of guys, and it just, at the end of the day, the team was never really a good team. They had Jacoby Brissett. They've had a slew of veteran quarterbacks in there that could not make the fold to fill Andrew Luck's shoes. This guy will be the franchise quarterback going forward. He's got a bright future in Indianapolis, believe me. Seahawks are going to take Tyree Wilson, defensive edge out of Texas Tech. This guy was a menace. This guy was a defensive menace. This guy was unbelievably good, hard to stop, very quick. Got to the running back, got to the quarterback. He knew how to get to people quickly. He did. The Rams would have had the 6th pick had they not traded a bunch of draft picks to the Lions, but the Lions have now their picks. So the Lions are going to get Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Great defensive presence, great cover guy, great guy you can go one-on-one with. Does good in the zone. Does play man-to-man pretty good as well. The Raiders are going to take Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. This guy is a good cover guy. Good thing for the Raiders to take at this point. They need a defensive back that can cover really well. Really good man-to-man. The Raiders secondary as of late, not so hot. This guy right here can make a big difference here going forward. I have the Falcons taking Jackson Smith-Njigba out of Ohio State. They need more weapons in order to be a team that's in the conversation for a division title. And that's how far I'll go with the Falcons at this point. That's all they are. They need more weapons. This guy is a good provider for that. He's a good guy at this point. Very hard man to cover. He's quick. Good route runner. Good guy you could put in the slot. I don't think he was really used that much in the slot to begin with. So it makes sense here for Atlanta to take him at this point. I think Atlanta will take him. I think Atlanta needs more in the wide receiving position anyway. They don't have much anyway in that position. I think what they have now, realistically, is actually pretty good for what they have at this point to start off with. And I think, again, it all comes down to these factors going into it, which is, can the Falcons pick the right people at this point? Now, they were 7-10 last season. So I get why people are looking at me going like, why do they need another wide receiver? They don't need another wide receiver. They do. They do. To me, they have two good wide receivers. They got Matt Collins out of free agency. I get that. They do. They got, to me, they could use another defensive back. I understand that, but they got Scotty Miller, which he's never going to be a starting rotation guy anyway. Kyle Pitts, though, with Juano Smith and I'm trying to find the wide receiver I was talking about that I got from USC from last year. I can't think of his name. Drake London and Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best 1-2 punch, in my opinion, out of the draft. I think they should go through with that pick there. I don't see why that wouldn't hurt at this point. You need another wide receiver anyway that could be a deep threat. That's what Smith-Njigba really is at this point, is a deep threat, along with Drake London. Kyle Pitts and Juano Smith, to me, fit the mold here to protect the quarterback at all costs here. And I think Ryan Tannehill might be the guy that ends up going to Atlanta anyway. So it kind of benefits them in that front, where I think he'll be moved in the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft. And because I don't think Tannehill's worth the 1st-round pick. I don't think he is. But they do need a veteran quarterback. They don't have one right now on the roster, and at this point, I can teach Desmond Ridder the ropes here that actually makes this team legitimately good. They're not in rebuild mode; they're in a here now mode. Chicago Bears will take Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. It's a good defensive mix here they could take here. Good middle linebacker at this point. Good guy to replace Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith. I like this pick a lot. This guy will be successful in Chicago. That defense, at this point, with what they got now at Edmonds from Buffalo, Anderson Jr. to go right along with it here. I think that pick will work out just fine. It will work out just fine for the Bears. I had the Eagles taking Drew Sanders at linebacker out of Arkansas. A lot of people took this in their mock draft as well. Not a lot of people had Jalen Carter go in as number 10. Sanders, I think, is just in the same playing level with Will Anderson Jr. as far as linebacker goes when it comes to pressure, sacks, tackles for loss, just all that combined. And Will Anderson Jr. is a monster. He's a beast. He was the face of the SEC when it came to defense. This guy was the first guy to be mentioned. It really should have been mentioned for last year's draft. He should have been drafted last year. But Drew Sanders was catching up to him as far as talent goes, though. He's not as talented as Will Anderson Jr., but that guy's a menace. Drew Sanders is a menace at this point. Was good enough that was good for the Arkansas defense. They actually improved that defense by having him around. So this should be interesting. Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, will be going to the Tennessee Titans. I think that's a franchise quarterback. That's a guy you get here in the draft. A lot of people are saying that C.J. Stroud should be the guy that they should go after here. I think that would be a mistake. I think Anthony Richardson's got a much better arm. He's getting a little bit better. And I think this guy could be competitive for the AFC South at this point with Trevor Lawrence. The Colts have got a long way to go with Will Levis, I think. And at this point, I don't know if they'll be good enough. I think their defense is soft. Their offense is soft. They're in rebuild mode. I don't think they're going to be competing anytime soon for that division. But the Titans, if they're going to decide to stick around, I think that makes a huge difference in the long run. I think it does. I have the Texans taking quarterback C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. This is a guy at this point who's getting better at quarterback. I don't know why he was dropping down, but I figured, you know what, if he wasn't going to be number 2, you at least put him at number 12 with the Texans at this point, with a franchise that could actually take him. I had him going in the beginning to the Texans, but then I thought to myself, you know what? They need 2 big names coming out of this draft, the Texans do. Now they could have had the number 1 draft pick and could have gotten Bryce Young. Absolutely. Do I think that still is that was still possible after this? No, because Bryce Young at this point is getting a lot of interest going to Carolina. So is Will Levis, but Bryce Young's got a better shot of going there than Will Levis does, and I think C.J. Stroud had a better shot going to Houston than he did going to Carolina. Guy was an awesome quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Put up some big numbers. Had some help along the way to doing it too, with Marvin Harrison Jr., which, who knows, maybe next year that'll be his teammate in Houston. You just never know. We'll see. He also had help along with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. I think with those guys, his play kind of dwindled down a little bit, though, but he's still good. He's still in the conversation of being one of the top rookies in the league. And I think he'll get the starting job from day one. I think so with Anthony Richardson. I think still with Will Levis and Bryce Young. It's kind of like 2012 all over again, with every rookie getting the starting job at quarterback. Packers got the Jets pick here, so they will get Jillian Hyatt out of Tennessee. This guy was a awesome production wide receiver out of Tennessee with Hendrick Hooker. You talk about a guy that made a difference in the football field and helped these teams to help his team to success here. He was a hard guy to cover one-on-one. He was a great deep threat here and could really, really play against a double team pretty well especially for his size. He's not that tall. So I think it's interesting here that I think he was not considered in the first round here, which is why I think it's one of those surprise picks. The Packers need another wide receiver anyway. I didn't think it would be Nagaba anyway. So I think the Packers will get Hyatt. Patriots will get Broderick Jones out of Georgia, the offensive tackle. They need another tackle anyway. Need another guy that can protect the quarterback here. Isaiah Wynn was terrible for them, another guy that came out of Georgia. But Broderick Jones is a lot bigger, a lot more stronger, a lot more physical here. And I think he can help out with the running plays and the passing plays here for Mac Jones, and they want to protect this guy over time here. That is the one guy you need to get if you're New England. If you're really believe in Mac Jones or really protecting any quarterback going forward. The Jets get the Packers pick, of course, in that exchange. So Peter Skoronski is the offensive tackle that I have going there out of Northwestern. Another guy that is physical on the offensive line presence. He's a presence in that football field. And it's a really good boost to have at this point. No longer since you're not going to be no longer with David Bagari, now you're going to be with this guy. He's a good comparison, I think, to him. Peter Skoronski is. Commanders will get Deontay Banks from out of Maryland. Really good defensive back. I think pretty solid in the position. I think one of the tops right now in as far as the Big Ten goes and defensive coverage. The guy was hard to contain or get by in that point. If you're a wide receiver, you contain him to play a certain spot here that you couldn't that you want to get to, that you want to fake him out. There was no faking this guy out. He was never fooled. Steelers will get Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State here. I love the story here. The father went to Pittsburgh Steelers, won a Super Bowl title with the Steelers. Now is coaching there. Father and son duo, I think, is awesome here. He's a great defensive back at this point. Was very hard for quarterbacks to go up against here in these games throughout the entire season last year in the Big Ten, especially for guys like C.J. Stroud. Stroud had a hard time against him too. And he was a tough wide receiver, tough defensive back to get around. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a hard time with him last year. Chris Olave all those times. There was a lot of times that they couldn't get by this guy. So Joey Porter Jr. is the way to go here. They need a defensive back at this point. They need him to learn from one of the best here, Patrick Peterson at this point, who has declined in value, yes, over the years. But it's a good learning curve for the kid. And Joey Porter Jr. might just be the guy that just takes over and Patrick Peterson starts listening to him. So that's possible. Kansas City Chiefs, Lions swap here. I think the Chiefs get Zay Flowers. They need another wide receiver anyway to go with Kadarius Jones and Sky Moore and the rest of them. They no longer have Juju Smith-Schuster here. So this is a guy who's going to fit that role, basically. And Flowers has been great working out with Patrick Mahomes this week. Having fun with the players, getting open at this point, and I think it's becoming friendly with Patrick Mahomes, which is going to probably lead to him getting picked by the Chiefs. Lucas Van Ness, edge out of Iowa, will be going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 19. I believe this will be a good pick. I don't know how this guy was not in the top 10. This was a guy with a great edge player. This guy was a menace for defense out there in the Big Ten. He was very hard to stop, very hard to contain. I don't know how this guy is not in the top 10. It's a sin at this point that he's drafted this far down the draft, I think, in the first round. So I can't see how this guy wasn't higher. Wasn't at least in the top 10. I'm just shocked by that. I had the Seahawks going at, and I saw this in a lot of mock drafts too. The reason I had them going 19 was because I thought to myself, Tampa Bay didn't trade up and get this guy. In my mind at this point, I just, I should have put him more in my top 10 to be fair, but I just, I said to myself, you know what? Too many edges in the top 10 here, but at the same time, this guy, as far as where he should have been going at this point, I should have put this guy in Seattle because if this trade were to happen with Montez Sweat and Chase Young and they had that guy in there, that defense would be hard to get around. And they're going to be contending for the possibly for the NFC South in the near future with this guy as an edge player. The Bucs will. Seattle could be winning the division with that guy. But you know who they're going to get instead? Hendon Hooker, quarterback out of Tennessee. This guy was a Heisman Trophy candidate. If it wasn't for the torn ACL, he probably would have gone a lot higher in the draft here, and probably would have gotten the Heisman Trophy, and probably would have won a national championship with Tennessee. This is a guy that was money. Throwing passing yards, throwing 300 yards, 400 yards, 500 yards. It was every game was a great game, and it's too bad that he tore his ACL. It was unfortunate. It dropped him from the Heisman candidate list altogether. So that's that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I got the LA Chargers taking Jordan Addison at the rookie out of USC. This is a guy who I think belongs on the LA Chargers. This is a guy who's a California kid. It makes a lot of sense here. The connection's there. You give Herbert another weapon at this point, along with Keenan Allen, along with Mike Williams. They don't really have a number 3 wide receiver on this team. Mike Williams is really a number 3. Allen's a number 1 guy. Addison's a good number 2 guy. Could move up to be number 1 someday on that roster. I think it works out in their favor to get him. Ravens get Charles Jones, wide receiver out of Purdue. This guy has got quick feet, snappy feet, according to the projections here and what they're saying about the guy. The reason I have him going at first round here, the Ravens, is because It gives Lamar Jackson another weapon at this point. If they're not going to be able to get DeAndre Hopkins here, they get a guy like him out there that can shock everybody at this point. It's one of those shock drafts at this point where I would put this guy in the first round. He's projected to really go in the second or third round here, probably mid-third round. But I think he belongs on this list. I think he belongs in this conversation. So I have the Ravens taking him at number 22. I have an edge rusher, Will McDonald the fifth. I believe this is the fourth or the fifth. I'm not even sure here about the numerals are here. I think it's fourth or fifth. Out of Iowa State going to the Minnesota Vikings. That guy's a menace. That guy was a monster for Iowa State. And I think he'll make a good impression on that Viking defense and a much-needed improved Viking defense with Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator. I had the Jaguars taking Darnell White, offensive tackle out of Tennessee, one of the top 3 offensive linemen coming off the draft here. Quentin Johnson out of TCU going to the New York Giants. That's what I got there going to in number 25 here. I think realistically here, this is the pick that needs to happen here, one way or the other. They need another wide receiver anyway to complement the flow with Darius Slayton. And I think that team could benefit from teaching this rookie the ropes and giving Daniel Jones another piece of talent for him to throw to here, and really for him to establish more of his arm strength. Another deep threat, and that's what Quentin Johnson is. He's a deep threat wide receiver. I got the Cowboys taking Michael Mayer, tight end out of Notre Dame. They needed a tight end anyway to replace Schultz here. So I think that is the one move they needed to make happen here. Michael Mayer is the guy they need to take here. I think Michael Mayer might be a good next version of Rob Gronkowski at this point. Now, do I think he's injury prone at this point and will play like Rob Gronkowski and have a shortened career? No. I think this guy knows how to play it safe, doesn't know how to take that many risks here. He's a great tight end here, good number 1 tight end to have on your team. I think it's going to happen. I got DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to Buffalo. I think it's going to happen. I think it happens tonight. The Cardinals and Bills switch up here. They swap here. And I think Nolan Smith out of Georgia gets selected. This guy was a menace with Jalen Carter. And I think the Cardinals getting him is a great move on their part. It makes all the sense in the world for him to go there. He belongs on that Arizona Cardinal defense. That is an awesome addition at this point to have at this point now going forward. I think it works out in their favor. I got to be honest right now at this point. The reason I believe in DeAndre Hopkins going to Buffalo is because I think with Stephon Diggs and Gabriel Davis, D-Hop completes the collection of talent that this team is going to have. And I think DeAndre Hopkins' time is up in Arizona. I don't think he's going to be wanting to play there anymore and play with a quarterback at this point that is immature, that doesn't know how to play well with others, and that's it. That's just how I feel. Bengals will get offensive lineman Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin. The Saints will get defensive back Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State. I got Antoine Harrison out of Oklahoma going to Philadelphia in the 30th pick. And I had the Bears and Chiefs swapping picks here. I think because of the amount of losses they had at running back at this point, they lost out on David Montgomery. They didn't get a shot of getting Jamal Williams here in a replacement here. I think Bijan Robinson, a guy who was thought of in the top 10, top 15. I think this guy gets overlooked here, and I think he's the one that ends up going to the Chicago Bears to really replace Montgomery and really take over for Herbert. This guy's going to take the starting job in Chicago. Here's the reason why I think this is going to happen with Kansas City. This is Chicago's way of saying you owe us one. We let you get Patrick Mahomes, and this is a guy that we should have taken a long time ago. And here in this case right now, Bijan Robinson at this point is, in my opinion, and I'm just putting this on a map right now, hot take out of the fire, he's the next Adrian Peterson. Bijan Robinson will be a guy that rushes for at least for 1,000 yards, almost 2,000. I think he rushed for 2,000 yards. This guy's got an Eric Dickerson type of feel here. I can just feel it in my gut. I think with that Chicago Bears team, they'll be successful. With Justin Fields, look, he's got to get better at throwing the ball. It is what it is. This is a guy that you throw it to here. He's good on the run. He's good on catch and run here on passing plays. He's a difference maker. I think that's the one guy that you need to look into right now in 2023 right now for all rookies out there at any position. As far as quarterbacks go, the main focus to me, Bryce Young. Other than that, the second guy I would look at this point going forward here, Bijan Robinson. That is the second guy I would look at coming out of the draft here. That's the one guy that will make a difference. Chicago's getting better with their offensive line here. I think, realistically, if it had to come down to it, if Matt Flores had to get fired here, I think Eric Bieniemy would be a good candidate to replace the head coaching gig and help out Justin Fields develop. I think that would be a really good choice. Now, in this trade here, I have Darnell Mooney going to Kansas City in a trade. And I have Justin Ross, the second-year man out of Clemson, going to Chicago. I think he'll be better off. He was never going to sniff the field anyway. I think with John Ross being there and Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, there's too much talent there on that football field. Now, Ross was working out with Mahomes. I get it. They're also going to have Zay Flowers in there as well. I don't see Zay Flowers losing the spot here to Justin Ross, a guy who just came back from injury at this point, hasn't really proven anything just yet. Hell, I think we've seen more workouts with Zay Flowers going to Kansas City than we've seen with Justin Ross working out with Mahomes once. So to me, this happens. This move happens here. It's legit. I think Ross would be a good addition for the Chicago Bears. I think Darnell Mooney is going to go to Kansas City. Mooney is going to help out immensely with that team. Kadarius Toney and Mooney and just Flowers alone with Travis Kelce. I think that's a great move on the part for the Chiefs here. Darnell Mooney needed to get out of Chicago anyway. He was not the same wide receiver at the field starting at quarterback anyways. He was better with Mitchell Trubisky. And the problem was that, and Mooney actually surpassed Allen Robinson as far as where he was on the totem pole for wide receiver when Allen Robinson was there on the team. So this move happens. I can't wait. And the NFL draft actually starts right now. So I'm going to end the show there. I had no time to put my theme music on today, so unfortunately you're not going to be able to hear it again at the end of this show. I'm sorry. There will be no show Friday. There will be a show on Saturday. And I am going to sign off and end the show there. So good night, guys. I'm out. You know my social media. I'm not going to repeat it.